Absolum is the new king of beat-em-ups. I've loved beat-em-ups as long as I can remember. I remember waiting outside the rental place for TMNT or driving back from a family vacation in the RV with Double Dragon 2 under my pillow as I memorized the instruction manual. I even reviewed a book about the genre a few years ago, and with all due respect to genre icons like Double Dragon, Golden Axe, Final Fight, TMNT, and Streets of Rage, their reign at the top is over. The combat has surprising depth but remains accessible to everyone. The visuals as well as the animations are stunning at all times and are probably the best looking hand-drawn visuals I have seen in a game since Cuphead. The narrative evokes rich fantasy as the world constantly evolves around you as the plot slowly unfolds. Finally, the score is one of the best of all time thanks to a legendary group of composers. Absolum is absolute perfection as its genre fusion brings a modernized approach to a genre that is typically afraid of change and evolution. Before jumping into the video, I just want to take a quick second to say thank you. I understand that life is busy and that time is valuable. I appreciate you being here and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the video. Absolum, the first original IP from .emu, is being labeled as the world's first roguem-up, an experience that combines the gameplay of beat-em-ups with the systems of a roguelite. Absolum is a collaboration between what could only be labeled as a beat-em-up dream team. The stylish visuals are hand-drawn by French animation studio Supermonks and evoke a 70s cartoon style. The addictive gameplay as well as the class-leading proprietary beat-em-up engine which was used on 2020's Streets of Rage 4 was led by Guard Crush. The engaging narrative and unique vision begins with .emu. The epic soundtrack was led by composer Gareth Coker in what is easily his best work to date, who is known best for his work on Ori. There are also a few guest compositions from Mick Gordon, best known for his work on Doom, and Yuka Kitamura, who is best known for her work on Dark Souls and Elden Ring, as they each provide a unique and identifiable boss track which speaks volume to their unique talents, but it also highlights how well the whole soundtrack feels cohesive. Absolum feels like an adaptation of some wildly successful fantasy novel series as the universe feels rich and pulled from pages written decades ago. Talam is fully realized and overflowing with lore that is deeply immersive and after 20 hours, feels like I've only scratched the surface. Actually, in between the time that Absolum was sent out for review and the release, .emu have announced that Absolum is being adapted into an animated show. Details about when and where are sparse at the moment, but after finishing the game, there is so much untapped potential begging to be explored further. In Absolum, you begin as two heroes who possess magical abilities and represent the last hope of their kind. Galandra, the colossal sword-wielding necromancer, and Carl, the last free dwarf with his trusty blunderbuss. During a magical cataclysm, people have become afraid of wizards and the power that they yield. In this moment of weakness, Azra, the Sun King, has decided to enact the Crimson Order, which has enslaved wizards and outlawed magic. During the journey across the world of Talam to put an end to the reign of Azra, Galandra and Carl will find two more heroes who are ready and willing to join their cause. Cider, who is a quick and nimble assassin looking for answers of her own, and Brome, a frog wizard prodigy who is fighting to preserve the future generations of his kind. Part of what makes the narrative so engaging in Absolum is because the material felt like a mimesis of current world events, whether intentional or not. It's also delivered in synergy with the fast-paced gameplay. There are a multitude of ways that you become entrenched in the world of Talam, from reading lore, conversations between characters, and environmental points of interest, but it's always to the point, which keeps the gameplay moving forward. In addition to the engrossing narrative, Absolum just also happens to be paired with gameplay from the world's first roguem-up, a hybrid that fuses together the best of beat-em-ups spiced with roguelite elements. To say that the roguelite genre has become oversaturated would be an understatement, and in most games, it's nothing more than a cheap excuse to stretch out gameplay. But in Absolum, it adds value because the world is constantly evolving with every single run. In the 20 hours, there wasn't a single run that felt identical. The gameplay, narrative, and environment all work in synergy to ensure that every run feels unique, whether it's discovering a hidden path, completing a quest, trying a new skill, fighting a new boss, discovering a new region, or learning more about the story. There was always something pulling me back in for another run. The player is also constantly given choices, which feels fresh in a beat 'em up where you traditionally robotically move from one area to the next, mindlessly hitting two buttons. In Absolum, you are making educated decisions about the path of your journey. However, the true crown jewel for Absolum is the gameplay, which ventures into uncharted territory for the beat 'em up genre with a level of depth, but also due to the incorporation of roguelite elements. If you just want to smash light and heavy attacks like classic beat 'em ups, you can, which means that you can play this game with anyone, but there is also depth waiting for you with well-timed dodges, blocks, and parries. Each of the four characters feel extremely unique and well-balanced as there isn't one overpowered hero among them. Each character also possesses a unique arcane superpower which are used frequently and a spark of power that comes a little later in the game and is typically used once per run. Both tools are necessities to overcome some of the biggest boss fights and toughest challenges in Absolum that require both brains and brawn. As for the roguelite elements, they are a large part of why each run feels unique. Rituals and trinkets provide in-run upgrades, and you will also have the ability to inherit permanent upgrades by spending crystals at the soul tree between each run, like more starting health or mana. On their own, these roguelite mechanics aren't revolutionary, but in a genre that is afraid to step outside of the box, they provide a well-needed shot of adrenaline. Like most beat 'em ups, they are best enjoyed with friends, but Absolum only features 2-player co-op, which is either local or online, but Streets of Rage 4, which was also developed by Guard Crush, had 4-player co-op. Without a doubt though, it was tested, but probably decided against because at times when all magical abilities are being used, as you try to push back the hordes of evil, the screen can look like a Jackson Pollock painting, with an overabundance of things happening on the screen at once. Also, for narrative purposes, it wouldn't make sense to allow the 3rd and 4th player to play right away. During your journey, you will come across mercenaries for hire who will fight alongside you, but they currently feel unbalanced. They are too passive and don't engage in the fights as much as they should, but this is obviously a fine line to balance, as you don't want them to do all of the work. Each of the 4 heroes have 6 different arcana powers, which are all unique and require some experimentation to find the one that suits you. However, each character also eventually unlocks a star power, which are typically single use per run, and even though all of the characters felt extremely well balanced, some star powers weren't as impressive. It would have been incredible if you had the option to select between 2. To proclaim something as Game of the Year or Best in Class always feels almost sacrilegious, as there is the potential of just getting caught up in the moment or possible recency bias, but after playing games for decades, there is a feeling you get when you play something special. Modern beat 'em ups are typically afraid to take chances and step outside of genre tradition. As a result, most experiences feel rote by the end of their short 4 to 6 hours. After reaching the credits in solo at around 10 hours, I immediately did it again in co-op. Even after that, I still wanted more, and Absolum has plenty more to offer in the endgame. Absolum is the best beat 'em up of all time because Dotemu understood that to make the game a complete package, it had to stretch beyond the restrictions of the genre. Absolum is a beat 'em up first and a roguelite second. But above everything, it's a magical experience that has the power to transcend genre boundaries. Once again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe. If you want to help, leave a comment or a like, as that will help with the algorithm the most. That's it for this video, and until next time, be good to your fellow gamer, but more importantly, be better to your fellow human.